It's lockdown, day something. I have forgotten what three-dimensional faces look like. The dust in the corners of the room begin to resemble vast dunes, in which I occasionally may discern a pool of liquid. Luckily, I maintain this narrow channel to the outside world, and I have Megan's Megacan. On this week's show, the 3M scandal and modern-day piracy, why you shouldn't deliberately infect yourself with coronavirus, and you won't believe what Merkel hoarded at the shops.
Hello, everybody. It's Megan's Megacan time in these strange lockdown times. I am here virtually, if not in person, with the lovely Conrad Werner.
Hello.
Hello, Conrad. How are you?
I am fine. You're like the fourth person I've spoken to through my screen in the last 3 days.
It's getting quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I like it, and I think it's amazing that we're able to do this. Like, I think I was talking to some people the other day. I was like, can you imagine if this had happened in like 1990? What would we have done? Good Lord. Anyway, but it does get like it's a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
A lot more screen time than I'm
The whole
used
different kind of etiquette rules that are coming in now, aren't there? You know, like about...
Like, get away from me, you gross coughing person. I feel like that should always be.
No, I meant like
Yes.
video conferencing etiquette. Like, it's not done to do it from bed, for example. Even though you could hide it effectively, it's not really a good idea.
I feel like,
You should be fully dressed,
maybe not.
sitting up straight.
Fully dressed. I don't
Have your back to a wall.
I'm doing a lot in sports clothes.
Yeah, okay. Depends what kind of meeting it is.
Which are just day pajamas.
Yeah.
My hair was looking quite spectacularly bad the other day, and I just had it up and I just hadn't touched it. And I got on a Zoom call, and then my boss made a joke about it, and I thought that was not good etiquette.
No, do not comment on other people's appearance.
Terrible lockdown fashion.
Also, you should be cautious and sit against a wall, because you don't know what could be happening behind you. That is one rule that I think should be brought in.
What?
Well, if you're in a video conference, you don't know what could be. Someone could be walking around behind you, and I think that...
Oh, right, like that guy in that very funny video that happened a few years ago where his like kid runs into the room. He's on like BBC News or something.
For example, yes. And although that was obviously very amusing.
It was very funny. That's good. I'm not sort of sitting behind a wall. I did have to, when I set up my sort of home office for teaching, I had to clear all the like random bottles of booze.
Yeah, good, exactly.
On the tip.
Make sure you know what's behind you. Right.
Okay, good. We've got news to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
I've got unfounded opinions to give, but let's start that off with some booze. What are you doing?
I'm having Jack Daniels and ginger. Last week, I had the other one, Johnny Walker and ginger. I thought I would try the Jack Daniels and ginger, even though I know what they all taste now.
You love whiskey and ginger. You really do. And I'm having a Bombay dry and tonic because I love gin and tonics. But also, this was just in my fridge. And anything that doesn't require me going to the supermarket is a good thing.
You flattened the curve just by drinking what's in your fridge.
Well, yeah, and we're flattening the curve here, like doing this over like Zoom. Yeah. So, I mean, really.
Good.
That's really good.
Excellent.
That's really good.
I feel much better.
I do find it incredibly difficult to not drink a lot at the best of times, but quarantine situations also very hard.
Exactly.
I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Let's not get into our drinking habits at the moment. Let's talk about the news.
Let's talk about the news. Okay, good. What's been happening?
So, have you heard of the company
Is it all
3M?
Yes.
That's just because I just told you about them 2 minutes ago.
100%, yes. I answered that question and I was like, why do I know that? I was like, oh, it's because he literally just told you about it.
It is an...
For the sake of argument, yes, I do, but I've literally no idea.
Right. 3M are an American conglomerate who I'm just saying it all again. It's the exact same thing I just said 2 minutes ago.
To be honest, I don't think I listened to this bit because I was
okay,
texting.
So right, good. Off. That's fine. That's good then. Okay, I can pretend I'm saying it all just, for the first time. 3M are an American conglomerate who make medical equipment, and they were in the news this week because Andreas Geisel, who is the Berlin Interior Senator, which just means minister, he accused them of modern piracy because he said that a batch of like FFP masks that had been ordered from 3M via their Chinese factory was hijacked in Bangkok and shipped to America instead. I think that's quite funny because Andreas Geisel's surname means hostage in German, but that is just by the by.
That's good.
Anyway, he just came out and said this. He just said this thing about modern piracy the other day, and then yesterday 3M came back with a statement and said none of that is true. We didn't even have records of an order from the Berlin police. I don't know what you're talking about. And who is this Geisel anyway? They didn't put that in the statement, but they sort of said that.
His name just means hostage in Berlin.
And I thought,
how can you take anything?
And there have been accusations of like different countries trying to like hijack other countries' medical, supply chain supplies. So that France also said that America was suddenly putting in higher bids for things that they had already ordered, and then they would get things like that. But I kind of think that the media, like the politicians, because of Trump slightly, I think the politicians know that like anti-American kind of stories play really well, so that they're really quick now. Politicians are very quick now to blame America and Trump for things where you don't really know what happened. Because I don't think the 3M, because I don't know, someone must be lying, obviously. Either 3M is lying or Andreas Geisel is lying. But it just seems like odd how quickly this came out in public. And I just think it plays into their hands a little bit. It's the same as the story the other day, a couple of weeks ago, about these pharmaceutical company. A German pharmaceutical company that said they were making a vaccine against COVID-19. And then they were going to have the Trump administration swooped in and offered to buy all their, move all their operations and do a merger and move all their operations to America and then only sell this vaccine on the US market. That, according to people who know more about this than me, was also slightly bollocks because there's no reason why a pharmaceutical company would not sell. If they were going to make a vaccine, obviously they would try and sell it to anyone who would want to buy it, which means the whole world. Like there's no way you'd make any kind of deal like that if you're a pharmaceutical company. You're going to get rich and you want to be as rich as possible, so you want to sell it to as many people in the world as possible. So that is also slightly bollocks, but it was like but I think that they knew.
So bollocks on whose part? Like who's lying there?
Well, I think that it was just a normal, this is what I understand, it was like a normal procedure of like some kind of like company, like how these big financial companies work together, buy things.
We're going to show our financial expertise.
I don't know.
This week.
We're reaching the limits of my expertise, but I think that they just like these big companies just like do these massive deals with governments all the time, and it doesn't mean that obviously they want to make as much money as possible, but they can't just like they're not just gonna fucking. Anyway, that was that.
Okay. Do you think that there's like an anti-American sentiment everywhere that is kind of ramping these stories up?
Yeah, I think that politicians have noticed that these anti-Trump stories play well in Europe, and I think they kind of play to them quite quickly when they can. It just seemed odd that Andreas Geisel would come out with this modern piracy story, and everyone was feeding off it straight away, like because it's such a great idea, you know. It's like, oh, these masks have been hijacked, you know, by, it's like the Wild West, and
yeah.
And in fact, at 3M have already, like, because Trump is trying to force 3M to only sell their stuff in America, and they've been resisting him. They've said, like, oh, we can't do that because we might get retaliated against, and then Canada won't sell their masks to America or whatever. It's
okay, so not any like actual reasons of, because that's a really bad thing to do during a pandemic because people will die.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. But I think that Trump is a cancer on the American psyche, but I just think that also that I think that a lot of people like, yeah, he's awful. I mean, he's awful. Like, I can't believe that he's being tolerated by the Republicans.
I'm not saying, when I say that anti-American sentiment is stirring things up, like, there's a very, very, very valid set of reasons why we have anti-American sentiment at the moment, because they're following through disastrous isolationist policies. And they're led by by someone who's insane, I think. Anyway.
Right.
But they may or may not have taken those masks. We're not sure.
We don't know. It's just 3M's word against Andreas Geisel's word at the moment. But they just said that everything that he said was totally wrong, they said. And they had no records of this sale supposedly going to Berlin. Because also, it's a kind of, because in this feverish situation we're in now, like, every politician is desperately trying to look like they're doing the right thing all the time, you know? They're trying to make sure that it looks like we've done everything we possibly can. And so it is in their interest to sort of blame other people for stuff, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, lovely. Yeah. Lovely.
Okay.
What else has been happening?
Right. Stefan von Dassel.
That's a name I'm going to need to hear again.
Have you heard of Stefan von Dassel?
No, sadly not. Well, briefly, but only because you told me about him very briefly. Tell us about him, other than his glorious, glorious name.
He is the Green Party mayor of the district of Mitte in Berlin. And he has said that he deliberately infected himself with coronavirus earlier this week so that he could self-isolate with his partner who also had it. And then this was blown up into a massive, all the media took this up, said, he did the self-infecting thing because he thought he'd just get it for 2 days and then he'd be immune afterwards. This goes against all medical advice. You're not supposed to try this. Do not try this at home. Do not try and give yourself coronavirus because you'll think you only have a mild case that only lasts 2 days and then you'll be fine. That doesn't work.
It can go quite badly wrong. Even if you are, like, not in one of the high-risk groups. It can be really, really horrible.
Yeah, so it's against medical advice, and he said he did that, and then it was a big news story. Everyone reported on it, and they were really excited, and then the next day, he kind of clarified his statement, and he said, what I was actually doing was I decided to stay in my flat with my partner because I thought it would be safer than going out and going to live in a hotel or living with friends or something because I might infect other people if I went out. So I thought it would be better to stay in, you know? And he said, like, he was trying to...
So he wasn't getting her to, like, cough in his
he kind of revised his statement a little bit. He said he didn't want to leave his partner alone in quarantine, he said. So anyway.
That's understandable.
Yeah. And...
but also, like...
So it was a big story, and then it was a small story again.
Another news story. Is it a news story, or is it because we're all hyper alert with anything kind of corona orientated that we leap on anything and make it crazy?
Well, I think there's like a basic pattern with all the news is that it sounds like a really big deal right at the beginning, and then it's like everyone's outraged and excited because outrage does really well, and then the next day everything has to be revised, and there's always like, there's like all these moderators come in and say, well, I didn't really mean it like this, I didn't really mean it like that. That's just how news works.
To be fair, though, that is how I used to feel about COVID-19.
Yeah,
it was just
I think that's why that's why we were so complacent about it, because it just played into our general sense of dread that we have all the time anyway about everything, that we thought, 100%. This is just another thing to dread. And then we thought, actually, it's actually quite a big thing to dread. And then now look.
I know, look at us now. Like, I was one of those absolute assholes being like, it's the flu, this is ridiculous, we've had this before. This is just a media frenzy.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, now I just glare at people when I'm out for a run if they're too close. I'm like, you better live together. You better live together, my friend.
Speaking of which, should we go through the new restrictions in Berlin?
By all means.
Because I've just been reading the FAQs on the Berlin website to check what exactly I can and can't do.
Other than talking to you every week and getting my news there and listening to Christian Drosten, who you may have thought we would get away without talking about this week, but here we go. His coronavirus updates every day, Monday to Friday. Apart from he didn't do it on Thursday because he was erkältet.
Oh, not.
That was a panic. Let me tell you.
He didn't have a dry cough, did he?
Oh, no, he's not. He's been tested twice. He was negative both times. But still, there was a moment. Because I've been very, non-panicky, though taking the rules very seriously. And then I was just like, what? He's got it. Anyway, other than that, and talking to you, I think part of the reason I'm not panicky is because I've really decided to cut down on my media consumption about this, because I don't think they can necessarily be trusted. But the other thing, I get the update when the radio alarm clock goes off. So I'm sort of aware of these rules, but it's also through the heavy fuzz of sleep.
Right. Okay.
And understand German in the first 10 seconds of waking up is impossible.
So you are allowed to go outside to go shopping. That is fine. You don't have to necessarily go to the nearest shop to you. You can go to any shop you like. You are allowed to go jogging or walking in the park. That is fine, as long as you're on your own, or cycling. All that is fine. You are allowed to sit down on benches, because that was a point of contention for a while. Are you allowed to sit down on benches or not? You are.
I went for a walk in Hasenheide the other day, and we were followed around by a police van with proper dystopian vibes, shouting through a tinny megaphone that we needed to get off the grass. But they seem to have changed that now. Yeah,
you are allowed to. You keep a distance of 1.5 meters from anyone when you sit down, but you're allowed to sit down for a bit. Yeah, but you can't have a picnic. That is what you definitely can't do. You can't sit down for ages and have a big picnic.
But can you sit down on the grass?
Only if you're doing sport or you yoga exercises. Take your yoga mat with you, and then if you see the police come, just start doing some exercises. You'll be fine.
In the downward facing
dog. Do a downward facing dog, and then you'll be okay. But you're not allowed to go have a picnic or a barbecue or anything like that. No grilling. You are obviously allowed to do that if you've got a garden, and you can do it still.
I know, wouldn't that be
You're
nice?
also not allowed to meet other people outside, even if you stand 1.5 meters away from them.
Oh, okay. And even if it's just two of you?
Yeah, no, you can. Sorry, yeah, you can meet one other person. You can't meet two other people. What you can't do is go and visit other people in their houses, even if you stay 1.5 meters away from them. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to go and visit your friends.
Oh, gosh.
Unless they're your relatives, you're allowed to go and visit your relatives or your partner.
I'm sorry, that is some couple privileging bullshit.
Well,
I'm not allowed to go and visit my friend who lives across the road, who lives on her own. But I can go and visit my boyfriend.
yeah, you can go and visit your boyfriend. But you're supposed to, if you do go and visit your boyfriend, you're supposed to just stay there forever. Like, you're not supposed to just keep walking and going in between the two places. Apparently, I don't know. I'm not making the rules. Just reading them off the website here.
I know, but you're the messenger, and I will shoot you. By God.
Okay.
It's very strange, isn't it? Like, and it must be very difficult for some people and people who live on their own and things like that.
You're allowed to do anything associated with your work. So journalists are still allowed to go out to do work.
Well.
Cleaners are still allowed to go out to clean other people's houses, even though that is not really advised. But since they're going to work, they're allowed to do that.
They can't have everybody being supported by the state. Got to keep the wheels of this economy turning.
Babysitters are also allowed to go and babysit in other people's houses. That is part of your job. So what you could say, you could say that you need to babysit your best friend. I don't know. That's probably not allowed. They probably won't let you to get away with that.
I'm just going to say she's my girlfriend.
Or that's fine too.
Then do I have to stay with her? I'm not sure she'd be up for that. Oh, I've come to stay. I've gone through the police checks and we're a couple now and we live together.
Yeah.
Let's hope I don't have corona, because that would really be the triple whammy of horror that I've brought into your home. Oh gosh.
Dog owners.
Dog
owners are allowed to go out with their dogs, as long as they don't meet other people or join groups. But you're allowed to go out with your dog.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a lot of exceptions, come to think of it. I mean, most of these things are, I suppose there is more to life than these things, but not much. Anyway. That's a kind of quick roundup. Don't, like, when you go, if the police confront you now and say, "Oh, Conrad said it on the podcast," so that is not your excuse. Like, if Conrad said you can do something, then you can't do it. It doesn't mean you can do it. I'm just reading out from the website, but obviously
might be overestimating people's faith in our ability to give them the cast iron facts.
I'm just worried now that a listener will go out and then meet someone, and the police will come, and then they'll say, "Oh, I heard on a podcast I was allowed to go and do this," and then they'll track me down.
One other person, but I've not.
And I'll be for it.
They'll track you down. It'd be fine. They're not going to be allowed to come into your house.
Yeah.
You'll be for it. Oh, I had something to ask, but I've forgotten what it was.
About what you can do outside?
No. I can't remember. Oh, it's gone.
Okay. There's some government advice about if you live in a VG. Would you like to hear that?
Oh. Yes, please.
Obviously, you're still allowed to live in a VG, because what else are you going to do? But make sure that you are extra specially careful when it comes to hygiene, and avoid physical contact in order to minimize.
Well, I think those
infection.
are just good rules for shared flat living.
Don't touch people.
Pay particular attention to your hygiene. and don't sleep with who you're living with.
Yeah.
They should keep those rules for the Vegas after this
Okay.
after this is lifted.
Anyway.
I think it's going to make people's lives easier.
So there's that.
Well, it's weird how quickly this has become. I don't know. Like, I'm totally okay with this. Is that weird? Like, if someone had told me, like, if you told me that the German government has plans to, like, you know, if a pandemic breaks out, this is what we're going to have to do. They're going to close the bars and you're not going to be able to see anybody, not even in homes. I'd have gone mental.
I know.
I'd have shouted at you. But
it's funny, isn't it? It's funny how quickly we get used to these things.
Happen gradually? Yeah. Oof. Maybe I'm just quite lazy. And I'm just like, well, I can't go and do any of those things.
I know, it's quite nice having online parties, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can just leave at any point. Mind you, I got thrown out of one yesterday.
You managed to get barred from an online party.
They let me back in eventually, okay. But
Did they mute you?
Oh no, they muted me and then chucked me out of the actual party.
Your silence was not enough. It's your mere online presence was too much.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand. I was being a prick, but I thought I was being funny.
Isn't that always the way?
As is
you can never tell.
The way
it's such a fine line.
It's such a fine line, and that line is washed away by wine, I would say.
It blurs a lot. Yes. Anyway.
Just avoid it. You can't even see it.
I wanted to end on some happy news, which is that Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, is fine. She does not have the corona.
Yay!
Yeah.
She doesn't have corona.
She's been in quarantine for the last 2 weeks in her house. And now she's out of quarantine. She was tested like every other day. And now she's fine. And she's back at work.
This is excellent
news. It's good news, especially for the Ulrich supermarket on Wilhelmstrasse, because that is her favourite supermarket near the Mall of Berlin.
Yeah, and she was photographed there, wasn't she, doing some presumably pre-quarantine.
Yeah, the Bild newspaper sent a photographer to take a picture of what she might be. You know, I think they must have sent it because everyone knows that she goes there. So I think they must have especially thought, oh, she's probably let's see what she's shopping now in case she buys an extra roll of toilet paper. And that would be a big story. She just bought one packet of toilet paper, not as much of a story. So what did the Bild do? They took a picture of her shopping trolley from a distance and decided which of those items count as stockpiling. And you know what they found? You know what they took in the picture? 4 bottles of wine. And that was what they...
This has made me love Angie even more than I already did. Like, that is a woman who genuinely, I feel, was wasted on centre-right politics.
Yeah.
My God. She's doing her own shopping. She's cutting about. She's buying 4 bottles of wine. It's now my goal. And if anyone would like to join me, I'm going to find out what those bottles of wine are and start like an online wine tasting.
Merkel's.
Where we're going to drink what Angie drinks and think about Angela Merkel.
And also the big scoop of the story, the headline of the story was, the Chancellor pays with a debit card.
Good God.
That was the headline story. I don't know what they were inferring by that. That she still has faith in the banking system. I don't know.
I love how much you hate the bill. But yeah, I mean, I think, do we have faith in any media anymore? Everyone should just be getting...
Well, they obviously thought, well, we got like these,
Megan's Megacan.
exactly.
But then I don't know where we'd get our sources from. Or you. I'm just drinking and failing to set up the tech properly every single week.
Well, they got these 3 photographs, so they thought we've got to make a story out of this somehow, and so we'll put. She's
not hamster buying toilet paper, so my God, look at her
all
wine.
This wine.
If you think you're going to be quarantined for any period of time, you get the wine in.
And she also bought some preserved cherries, Morello cherries, if you like them, a jar of them. Good for baking.
A Morello cherry or a maraschino cherry?
I think Morello.
I think either, actually, I would be into. I would really enjoy. We can also have that as part of my wine evening, if you would like to join. Just wine and weird preserved cherries.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you put them in cakes, but whatever, do that. Maybe she was making a trifle. She might have been making a trifle.
She could have been making like a Black Forest gâteau.
Exactly.
Or a Kirschtorte or something.
She put it. That is probably exactly, and she's probably putting a little bit of white wine in the old Kirschtorte.
I don't think so. I think she's drinking all of that
while she's baking.
Yeah, I think she's got her Kirsch already at home, like a good German woman for baking.
Yeah.
I don't have any Kirsch, but I do have a lot of I'm wondering at what point of lockdown is the top of my bar thing gonna, what day of quarantine is it going to be the time for the plum wine that I once got free with a Chinese takeaway about 4 years ago to be consumed, followed by some weird chocolate liqueur.
Why do people drink plum wine? You always get a free shot of it at the end of a Chinese meal, and it's horrible. And I think everyone's just trying to get rid of it. That's why they give you a free bit. Everyone's just.
Who knows? Maybe it's not actually like a traditional sort of Chinese thing. They just somehow people in restaurants got a load of plum wine, and they've just been trying to get rid of it.
Well, no one ever orders it. No one ever deliberately drinks plum wine, do they?
No, I mean, that is alcohol. That is something called wine. They survived in my house for 4 years. That's not good.
But yeah, everyone's just someone at some point decided to start make plum wine, and then now no one can get rid of it, so you always get it for free. That is the story of plum wine in a nutshell. Right. I think
that's what we need the Americans to hijack next.
I have run out of news. That is all that happened this week.
That's all that happened this week?
Basically, yes.
I had another story on the list, but maybe we're not talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's fine, because I think...
Well, do you want to talk about the other story? I feel like the other story is a bit like... we're not really in the right mood now.
Yeah. No, we should have done it.
We'll reorganize. We should do the tragic story at the beginning next time. And do,
Yeah, well, that's what it was supposed to be, but then you started on something else, and then I thought we were going to go into the other one.
Sorry, I forgot.
No, it doesn't. It's fine. I actually think it's kind of okay to not report on it, because I think it's a personal and family tragedy of someone struggling with illness rather than a piece of corona.
Okay. Well, that's good. We'll wrap up there then. That's a tight half hour.
That is a tight half hour. That was fun. I've still got quite a lot of Megacan to go. So I think you should tell me what your corona coping strategies are before we go. How's your Mega?
I've got about an eighth left.
I've got loads, actually. Ooh.
I don't have any. My corona coping strategies. I do a bit of yoga in the morning. I eat porridge every day. I make sure that my digestive system is fully functioning with a spot of yoga. I have started learning to do Wim Hof's breathing exercises.
I'm having such, I don't even think it is Baader Meinhof complex anymore. It's everywhere with Wim Hof.
Oh yeah.
He's everywhere in my life.
Yeah, he's got special advice for Corona times.
Is it to do with breathing?
Yes. It involves breathing and sitting in cold water.
Using Corona to sell what you're already selling, Vim. It's called capitalizing on a pandemic.
But I don't even want to talk about it, but you know, it was quite good. It is like when you do the breathing exercise, it is almost as good as certain class A drugs if you do enough of it.
Ooh.
It's like
well, that's
because it's just a lot of oxygen in one go. That's the trick.
Okay, well maybe I should try that. I'm on technically 2 weeks of Easter holidays now, and I have no idea what to do.
Well, start breathing. Start breathing consciously, and
right.
Yeah,
consciously.
and
Okay.
it'll offer you new horizons of what your mind and body are capable of. Anyway, that is apparently. Anyway, that is one of my coping strategies. I don't know. My life has changed like worryingly little in the last 2 weeks. I know that I watch telly and I'm on social media a lot, and I realize that it's like a really bad situation going on, but I am kind of all right in myself, and then my sister is obviously a doctor in the NHS and is in not quite ICU, but like just acute medicine, and I did cry on the phone with her twice this week. Oh.
I was just like, oh, but
yeah, I know it's really bad.
Yeah,
I do know it's really bad.
But it's like it's not affecting me personally, and also, I think what we can do is follow the rules that everyone's telling us to do, and try and keep our mental health and physical health at a peak, so that we're not going to burden anybody. So breathing. I'm doing a lot of exercise, but I'm also eating a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm mainly healthier than I normally am because I don't drink as much because I've got no one to drink with. So,
Oh, no, I'm definitely not sticking to that. But I'm trying to not go completely, just let
Yeah, after lunchtime. As soon as lunchtime's over.
I've not started drinking with lunch because that will be, mind you, I'm on holidays now, so.
Right, okay.
Who knows?
Okay, good.
Did we say goodbye?
No, we didn't say goodbye yet. I thought this was still part of the podcast.
Oh, well, I wasn't sure. I'm drunk now.
I would have taken my headphones off if it was definitely part of the over. Let's.
Oh, is that the
say
signal?
something? Say goodbye.
Okay, everybody.
That's all the news.
That is all the news. I'm a bit drunk now and slightly sad about the state of the media, but that's just normal. It's refreshingly normal.
And that's the best that we can hope for right now. Is refreshingly normal.
Is refreshingly normal. Have a good time. Stay indoors. Wash your hands. Stay healthy.
Bye.
Bye.